can a Tea Party person jump in here? I just, I listened to, everything that you had to say, and I got to tell you, from my perspective, I'm furious. I'm furious that the thing passed. Simply because a lot of the people who were running, especially in places like Colorado, they were running on the platform that they were going to stop Barack Obama. And one of the things that we saw coming was the amnesty thing. We knew that was coming. We knew that it was on the plate. It was there. They were going to force feed it to us. And one of the things that they promised us, those people who were running on the Republican ticket, was that they were going to stop him. And when they just basically handed everything to him in this omnibus package, which fully funds the amnesty thing, and it fully funds Obamacare through this next year. I mean, it's not just me. There are a whole lot of people who are really, really angry. It isn't that I'm wanting to eat my politicians. I certainly don't. I just want them to fulfill the promises that they've kept us. I mean, that they've made to us. And I think that they owe that to us, or at least a very good explanation. And I'm not seeing that. And so,
Well, and
yeah, I think
I
that
think
we
there's
need
a
to.
there's a tactical mistake that our guys are making, and we know that the Democrats would. Had the Democrats roundly won at a midterm, even then during the lame duck session when control had not changed, they would be acting as if they already controlled the Senate. And our guys refuse to yet act like winners. They were big winners in November 4th, and yes, we do not have the numbers in the Senate. That bill was always going to pass, most likely, because
But
we
wait,
don't
wait, wait, wait,
control the
wait.
Senate.
Hold on,
But
hold
we
on.
could have
We
acted
controlled the
like,
House. We
right,
passed it in the House before it got to the Senate. We
yeah,
control the House
there was some
now.
fighting,
It
never
never should
happened.
have passed the House.
The thing that talking about operating as winners versus operating as losers, whatever. The thing that we also have to remember, and we talked about this, back when we were talking about the victories in the election, is the fact that we may have won the election, but we still aren't in control of the media. I mean, we still
Right.
don't control all of the other externalities. So even if the optics and the stuff that would happen had we gone full press, to me at least, and this might just be the Rhino perspective, is that if we had gone full press on trying to stop everything and fight now when we don't have the numbers, which we do not have the numbers, on something that was going to go, that even if by some miracle it passed through the Senate, would go to Obama where it would be vetoed immediately, is that the optics would just be horrible. We would be seen as the same old obstructionist Republicans, and we would be destroyed multiple times by everyone, by the entire media. We would be, it would be a bloodbath. And,
Well, hang on.
what would we get? And what would we get in return? That's my question. What do we get in return? What is the? I have a hard time saying that I'm cool with us getting destroyed in the media for no reward, for no victory.
Okay, if you approach it from the point of a winner, which is we thumped you in 2014, it's the Senate is going to be ours in what, give me a couple of days here kind of thing. We already control the House. We actually extended that lead just a little bit, so we now control two of the three branches there of government, or well, I should say the two of the three houses. We have the Senate. We're going to have the Senate, but we just took the Senate. We already have the House, and we kept the House. And the only thing we don't have is the White House. Okay. Now the left is going to say these are the things that we want, and we say, okay, well, we're not going to give you any of those things. So that's where we start from. And here's my problem with the House leadership as it is now. And as a side note, I don't feel like they waved a white flag. I think it was an orange flag. That should give you an idea where I sit with that leadership. That said, they make a big deal about negotiating. They didn't do any negotiating. They didn't sit down and say, well, we're not going to give you any of this at all. And they said, well, we want all of this. Okay, well, where's the compromise? There wasn't any compromise. It was just like, we're going to cede it all to you. And that was my problem. They could have come out and said, it's obvious that the Republic or the Democrats would like all of this. They could have immediately come out and made some press announcements and said, listen, we're not going to give you all of it, but we're willing to negotiate, and the left is not going to negotiate at all. It's an all or nothing thing here. They talk about compromise, they talk about wanting to have a discussion, but their discussion is, you're not going to give us anything. And I think even with the press not being on our side, you can still, with it carefully worded, make it play well in a twisted press. I think that you can. And they didn't do any of that. They didn't even give the impression of fighting. It was just a rollover type thing. And I think that's the frustrating part. I think that's why myself and others are frustrated. Because it's just like, well, no, it was just going to pass. Let it go.
I think that's where we loop back to what Felicia was saying. If our Congress critters were better at communicating with the media that they do have on their side, if their press teams did a better job of communicating what the objectives were and what the strategy was to the folks at NRO and Town Hall and Heritage and Cato and Reason, and get the word out that what we're doing, and there's been speculation that this is the idea, and I think an awful lot of us would have been able to get on board if we had been told, for real guys, this is what Boehner and McConnell are doing. They're going to pass this 1 year of funding of nearly everything with a couple of little levers in it that we can renegotiate in January, so that, because what we want to focus on is in January we want to hit really hard with Obamacare and amnesty, and we really want to still have that, so it's not worth us to fight over all of these other things. So we're going to just take those things off the table until next September, so that we can but we're going to do it in such a way that amnesty and Obamacare are on the table in January, and we hit that when we hit the ground running. And yes, America and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, you need to understand that we got a mandate from the American people on November 5th, and starting on November 6th, we're exercising that mandate. We don't have the votes in the Senate yet, but we're going to tell the public that you elected us, this is what we're doing, and we're going to tell all of our bloggers that this is the plan, so that they can communicate the plan effectively to their readership. And if we were smart, if our politicians were smart and did that, then we'd have an awful lot less damaging speculation going on amongst our bloggers and amongst our readership and commentariat that are still just trying to figure out. The most likely explanation is that Obama and the NSA have secrets on McConnell and Boehner because they're just giving up. That sounds like a fairly logical thing, because we don't have any other story.
The great way to do it, I think, is the Instapundit Glenn Reynolds way. You excerpt a quote or two, the link in there, send people to the traffic, and that's why the term Instalanched became a thing, because he would drive traffic to people and they would shut down servers because so many people would be clicking.